There is a growing sense of unease in the American workforce, a feeling that the ground beneath our feet is shifting, even as the official reports remain calm. Right now, a specific narrative is taking hold in the headlines: the Great Freeze. It suggests a harmless period of stagnation, where companies have stopped hiring but aren't necessarily letting people go. This idea of a stable, neutral market is bolstered by the New York Stock Exchange hitting record highs. On the surface, the institutional data suggests an era of continued financial prosperity. But the freeze narrative begins to fall apart when you look at corporate actions over a single 48-hour window. Behind the scenes, some of the largest employers in the country are making aggressive moves. In just 2 days, 48,000 jobs slashed at UPS, 1,800 at Target, 15,000 at Microsoft. But these giants represent only the tracked labor market. Below them are thousands of smaller businesses whose lost positions never make a headline. The reason these losses aren't reflected in the monthly reports often comes down to the reporting process itself. Initial employment figures frequently capture the public's attention, while the quiet, downward revisions that happen months later rarely receive the same level of scrutiny. As these layoffs mount, corporations have increasingly pointed to a specific catalyst to explain the shift: artificial intelligence. This narrative frames job loss as an inevitable part of modernization, often citing moves like Amazon's recent decision to eliminate 14,000 middle management roles. However, it's worth asking if current AI technology is actually capable of replacing human oversight at this scale today, or if the technology is being used to justify a different corporate priority. Many of these mega companies are likely bracing for a traditional economic downturn. By downsizing now, they ensure they are lean enough to maintain profitability even if consumer spending begins to drop. Attributing these cuts to an AI revolution allows companies to maintain a futuristic, growth-oriented image for investors. It frames a defensive economic contraction as a proactive technological transition. While AI will certainly change how we work in the future, right now it is serving as a convenient explanation for a much older phenomenon: companies cutting costs in the face of a cooling economy. This discrepancy is most visible on the trading floor, where the stock market appears to be reaching historic peaks despite the massive corporate layoffs. Led by NVIDIA's $5 trillion peak, this rally relies on a small group of tech giants. Analysts warn this is a closed loop where players buy each other's products. One company's AI investment becomes the next company's revenue. The impact of this concentration is staggering. When the S&P 500 crossed the 6,900 mark, 398 of the companies in that index actually closed in the red. This means 80% of the companies in the index were losing value. However, because the top 20% are so massive, their gains are mathematically large enough to paint the entire market headline green. This hyper-concentration creates a facade of market health. The index remains high, but it no longer represents the broad success of the economy. It represents the momentum of a few giants, while the rest of the market struggles to keep up. To measure just how far the market has drifted from the actual economy, we can use the Buffett indicator, a metric that compares the total value of the stock market to the country's GDP. Think of this as a gauge for whether stock prices are supported by the actual output of the economy. Historically, a high reading on this scale has preceded major corrections. During the 2008 financial crisis, the indicator sat just over 100%. At the height of the dot-com bubble in 2000, when tech speculation reached its previous peak, the indicator climbed to 142%. Today, the Buffett indicator has reached 220%. This is the highest level the metric has ever recorded, suggesting a level of overvaluation that far exceeds previous market peaks. The danger for most people is that modern retirement accounts and index funds are heavily. It could pull down the broad funds millions of Americans rely on for their long-term savings. In periods of extreme market concentration and economic uncertainty, many look for stability outside the digital financial system. Moving toward tangible assets like physical gold and silver provides a way to secure value not tied to the fluctuations of a hyper-concentrated stock market.